This is the Going to the Endzone Podcast.
Welcome to this week's Going to the Endzone Podcast. We are coming to you from Vincent's Lincoln High School. The Alice's practicing behind us have a monster showdown with Castle coming up Friday night. We're going to have head coach Levi Salters and a pair of Alice's later in the show. But first, Jack, Bernie, Nicole, Christine, we have to break down a busy week of high school football. Last week, that was week 4, starting with a wild game Saturday night. Jack, you were there. North Vermillion, South Vermillion. They're both friends of the podcast. What a great game.
Yeah, what a great game between North Vermillion and South Vermillion. I mean, like you said, two well-coached teams with Coach Crabtree and Coach Barrett. We've had them both on the podcast. Every time I've been to South Vermillion this year, you know, I was there for that Sullivan finish. I was there for this one. Just two crazy games. Just shout out to both teams. North Vermillion, their quarterback, Jerome White, he had 4 total touchdowns, 3 on the ground, 1 through the air. They were going back and forth all fourth quarter, but the story, Dom Garzolini and Parker Weir, 5 touchdown passes. Dom had 6. I believe it tied his brother's record at South Vermillion, so just shout out to the Wildcats. Big time win for them.
Yeah, he did say he was coming for those records, so it looks like he's living up to the hype. And how much fun is it to cover a game where there's that much offense? Because I mean, it's like highlight after highlight. Makes your job a little easier, right?
It was incredible. I mean, it's two rivals, too, so you could tell they wanted to win that game. I talked to Coach Barrett, Dom, and Parker after the game, and they all said this game means a lot around here. So for them to win it with a last-second touchdown was really awesome.
Yeah.
Another big game last week, North and South. South shutting out North. Largest margin of victory in that rivalry, 34-0. Nicole, we've touched on both teams, but South, it was a close game at half. South kind of pulled away late thanks to Brady Wilson and the South rushing attack.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, Brady Wilson continues to impress, and you can see him getting more and more comfortable as the weeks go by. And I just think that South, what I've really noticed about them this year that's really impressed me is they aren't giving up. You know, there were times in past seasons where it felt like they would get kind of defeated, and this year it seems like it's a lot easier for them to come together in the second half and pull off those victories. And North, you know, still just trying to gain some traction. Unfortunately, this week, both have the big Bloomington schools, and so I think that, you know, that's always a big test for them. But I think Bloomington South, Terre Haute South is going to be a pretty interesting game to watch because I think Brady Wilson is going to be running on all cylinders.
That's a big game for South this week. I mean, they're 1-3, but they could easily be 3-1. So, I mean, if they can win this week, you know, make it 2 in a row, I think they could go on a run to end the season for sure.
And Bloomington South suffered that tough loss to Bloomington North last week. We know what Bloomington North-South game was a couple of weeks ago. Meanwhile, Northview Knights, we knew they wouldn't have many problems with West Vigo. They get the dub against West Vigo. They're undefeated still in the season. They got Owen Valley this week. They don't want to peek ahead too far. They get Terre Haute South next week with the Knights still rolling right along with that rushing attack.
I mean, it's just so impressive to watch them. Like we said last week on the podcast, it's like they have basically 2 running backs with as mobile as Kyle Cotti is. And I think that Owen Valley, in past years, we were talking about this, you know, with Coach Gibson and some of the players that they had over there in Owen Valley, used to be a little bit more of a matchup, and I think this year it's going to be, I would guess, a pretty easy victory for Northview again. So looking forward to watching them against Terre Haute South next week. I know, like you said, don't want to look too far ahead, but that'll be a fun matchup.
Yeah, that'll be really fun. Two great offenses going up against each other. You know, Terre Haute South does it through the air, Northview on the ground. So not to look too far ahead. They still got games this week, but that one's going to be
on a Thursday night.
It's on a Thursday next week.
Switch it up a little bit.
With South and Northview, but the Patriots will be coming to Northview Friday. Jack, you were there on last Friday. Linton Sullivan, every time you cover a Sullivan game, it's going to be down to the wire. What a crazy finish for the Miners and Paul Oliver.
Yeah, just 2 back-to-back crazy games for me. Sullivan, South Vermillion, North Vermillion on Saturday. That was the offensive game. Linton Sullivan was more of a defensive game. Both teams played great. Both quarterbacks played great. Paul Oliver, he had 190 rushing yards. He also had that big block punt. That kind of turned the game around. Sullivan was in control of that game, and then that block punt happened, and once that happened, I knew Paul wasn't going to let Linton lose, and then he runs in the go-ahead touchdown. But Blake Fraker played a heck of a game. He was making throws all night. On that last drive, he had one that got dropped by the receiver that would have put him close to field goal range. They only needed a field goal, and obviously we know their kicker can make field goals. He hit that winner against South Vermillion. But I think both teams are going to be good. I hope we get a rematch in the playoffs maybe, but Linton Sullivan, it's always
You're always
fun.
hoping for that. And yeah, I would say, going off of what you said, Sullivan shouldn't really hang their hats too much on this. I know it's a rivalry game. They always want to win that, but it was a really impressive showing from both sides of the ball.
A lot of football fun there. Vincent's Lincoln, we're here. They had an impressive win last week, 56-6. Nicole, we're going to put you on the spot for a second. You were in Bloomington on Friday.
I was.
Maddox Blackwell, the ISU defense, Sycamores finally get a touchdown. But Maddox, Johnny on the spot with the ISU defense.
Well, and how cool to see him do that, being a Bloomington native, getting to see him do that on the big stage, obviously not playing for the Hoosiers, luckily for the Sycamores, but it was really impressive, a really great moment to see, and I think that, we talk about Corbin Allen, we talk about Jude McCoskey, a lot of Valley kids that are really showing out for the Sycamores, and Maddox Blackwell, of course, just a little outside of the Wabash Valley, but another localish kid, another Hoosier kid who really came to play, and you really love to see that, and Maddox Blackwell is the epitome of really working hard and earning that spot and then showing what he can do with it. So really impressive game from him and from some other Valley locals that we saw in high school, and now they continue to perform well for the Sycamores.
That's right. Thankfully for us, though, no college football this Friday. We can focus on the high school football. Can you guys believe after this Friday, the regular season will be more than halfway done?
No.
This is week 5. You get 9 weeks of the regular season, then, of course, sectionals after that. Hey, we are just getting rolling on our Going to the End Zone podcast here from Vincent's Lincoln. More with the Alice's right after this. Welcome back to our Going to the End Zone podcast. We are coming to you from Vincent's Lincoln. The Alice's have a big one this week against Castle. Maybe the first time on our podcast, we're joined by our Play of the Night winner, Blake Green, who had the pick 6 last week against Evansville Central. Blake, welcome to our Going to the End Zone podcast.
Yep, thank you guys for having me.
We have to first off ask you about the Play of the Night. Take us through that interception return for a touchdown last week.
Well, we've been practicing all week. We have their playbook for, watching film and stuff. So we're running that play. I just read it, and because they run that double 3 and out or 5 and out, and just saw it and took it to the house.
From what I understand, it's your first touchdown. Just how cool was that to get your first touchdown and to win Play of the Night, man?
Yeah, it was amazing. Did not expect to have a touchdown that night. Took it to the house. Was just in shock. And had to go right back out in defense.
Yes, sir.
Well, you're well into the season now, of course, hoping for more defensive touchdowns in the future. But so far this year, what has really stood out about this Alice team that makes you proud to be a part of it? 3-1, that's no joke of a record so far.
Well, I think it really stands out is our defense is really strong, and I feel like we all work really good together. We changed up a little thing. We're on a 3-4 and a 4-3. Just switching things up. More linebackers, more coverage and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a close vote for Play of the Night, our closest vote of the season, but we know how Vincent's Lincoln, the Alice fans, can support any sport, whether it be football, baseball, basketball. What does it mean to play for a program in a school like that where the Alice support is unmatched around here?
It's super nice, it was homecoming too, so it was just nice, We have a huge support group and parent group. They're all amazing.
Blake, just what do you think are some of the strengths of the defensive side of the ball this year for the Alice's?
I think our run stopping is really good. And I think our pass is a little weaker, but I think we're working on it and get better with it.
And I know you have a lot of away games. We were talking about that before we started rolling. What is key for you guys when you do take it on the road to maintain that momentum when you're not in front of maybe as much of a support group and you've got those opposing fans?
Well, we always like to come together as a team, pray before the game, just, listen to music, get hyped up, and just go out there and do what we do.
What can we say about the big game this week? I mean, it's a huge game. Castle coming in. Another big game, but I know you guys are happy to be at home. What's the first thing that kind of stands out to you as you guys get set to play a Castle team that seems like always has a good team every year?
Well, they're always a good team. We haven't beat them since, I think, 1979, so we got a lot to prove, and I think we're a pretty good, solid team this year, so I think we can do it.
Blake, you're a junior. Just, next year you're going to be a senior. Just what have you learned from the seniors on this year's club that makes you confident that you could step up and be a leader next year?
Yep, taking every moment, it's not only got, a little bit left this year and all next year, so take it in. Gonna miss it, but take it in.
Plenty of time to still enjoy it.
Yes.
And you did mention, you guys like to listen to music. Are there any other game day routines that you guys like to do, the Alice's, that are kind of special to you guys?
Not really. We get hyped up for the game.
Yeah.
We always like to stay focused and just come together.
Any playlist that's really hitting right now?
Not that I can. I'm never on aux. It's always seniors, but
yeah.
That's it.
What's something we don't know about Coach Salters that we should know? Non-football related. We'd like to have some fun with the podcast. Something we may not know about Coach Salters as a coach, during practice. What's something we should know about him?
I don't know. Well, his whole family's almost on the coaching staff. He has both his brothers, and his dad's always out here. So.
Okay, it's a family.
There you go.
Yeah. Very nice.
Well, Blake, thanks for taking some time to join us on this week's Endzone Podcast. Best of luck in the big game Friday. We can't wait to see Vincennes Lincoln against Castle.
Thank you for having me.
He is the quarterback of the Vincennes Lincoln Alice's. He is a senior. He is Mr. Xander Hunt. Xander, welcome to this week's Going to the Endzone Podcast. Big one coming up against Castle Friday.
Yep, I'm ready.
How have you seen this team grow through 4 games? You guys are 3-1. Last year, you were 3-1, but didn't have the outcome. A chance this year to be 3-1 and to keep adding to that. How has this year's team kind of grown and a little different than last year?
Yeah, I think last year, practice kind of got a little lazy. We were 3-1. We thought we were about to roll through everybody, but this year we keep the energy up. We got some music out here sometimes, so try to keep everybody involved. Nobody's down, so we stay excited for practice every day.
And I know that a lot of the action, it starts in the trenches, and you've got quite a good line in front of you. So obviously you can drop back and you can throw it anywhere you want, but having those guys up front to protect you is huge. What have you learned from watching them play and having that strong line?
Oh yeah, the chemistry we have just makes me want to be able to score more because they don't get a lot of credit like this. You see me on here, but really all 5 of them and even our H, Tanner Gilbert, he should be on here talking because every one of the touchdowns I have is one of theirs.
What's it like to play football here at Vincennes Lincoln where the support is unmatched? The Alice Green is going to travel. You guys at home this week, but what's it like to play football here?
It's awesome playing for, we only have one team in our town. And like Evansville, the town's divided, but every person in this town is cheering on you. It's pretty cool.
And we did talk as well about Evansville schools. You guys got to go and compete against some of these bigger programs, these bigger players, but you guys have really proven that you guys can do that. What do you attribute that spark to get you guys to 3-1 and continue that rolling into Castle Week?
I think we just believe in ourselves. We know, they're bigger. We know that. They got some athletes, but we think we got some dogs out here that can play, so we're not really afraid to go down there and go to work.
Talked to Blake Green earlier. He was our play of the night winner this week. Had the pick 6 last week. You go against the defense sometimes in practice. What can you say about this defense that was stingy last week? Had 5 turnovers.
Oh yeah, a big upgrade we had from last year. Our D-line. Our D-line puts a lot of pressure on me, forced me to make some decisions. I can give the ball up a couple times out here, but I wouldn't admit that to them. But yeah, they improved a lot from last year. It's helped us a lot.
Okay, so final question for me at least. We were talking to Blake. He wouldn't tell us what's on the aux before the games because he said that's the seniors' job. So what are you playing before a big game to get everybody hype?
We'll keep it with some rap mostly.
Yeah.
We might throw in a little ice spice. You never know. We might spice it up. I don't know.
But mostly the hip-hop and rap. I love it.
We can appreciate that. What would it mean finally to get a big win against Castle Friday? I think first time since '79, I think Blake said. First time in a long time. What would it mean to beat Castle and to go 4-1?
It'd be awesome. I don't think anybody out here has beat Castle, so it'd be cool. Go down there, or them come down here. We've had some success in the first half against them down here, so I think we come out early, we jump on them, and I think it'd be really cool to beat them here at home.
Xander, thanks for stopping by this week's show. Best of luck Friday.
Thank you.
More Endzone Podcast right after this. Welcome back to our Going to the Endzone podcast. We're coming to you from Vincennes Lincoln High School. He is the head football coach of the Vincennes Lincoln Alice's, head coach Levi Salters. Coach Salters, thanks for taking some time on a busy week to join us on this week's show.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're glad you guys invited us, and it's fun for the kids, and they like, talking to the cameras and the newspaper and stuff like that. So yeah, it's good for everybody.
We tried to get Blake to tell us what kind of music the guys were listening to before the game. He said he's not a senior. The seniors are in charge of the music. But it's a big week. We'll talk more about music in just a little bit. But first off, how big of a week is it for you guys getting set for a big Castle team here Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, Castle's 10th in 5A. We're kind of at the same spot we were last year, 3-1. They're 3-1. Castle's traditionally, last couple of years, have had really good teams. I think they went to the semi-state in 5A the last 2 years. Really good program. Kind of a tipping point right here. Last year we played them at their place. Played really well in the first half, and then it kind of got away from us in the second half. But I mean, this year we get them at home, and it's not going to be easy. I guarantee that they'll have their kids ready to go, and we're going to have to play really well if we expect to have or put ourselves in a position to win.
Coach, you mentioned it already. You're 3-1 this year, you're 3-1 last year. Obviously, you didn't end the season how you wanted to last year. What do you have to do this time around this season, do you think, to end the season on a more positive note?
Yeah, I think in the conference we play in, the teams and the coaches are really good. And last year we were in, it seemed like every game right down to the wire. And then, 2 or 3 of those games don't go our way. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's really, obviously we've got to be in the game, but we've got to finish those close games. And we've had multiple opportunities, like I said, last year, to close out games. We played really well. It's just those winning plays that come down at the end. What team's going to make those? Mm-hmm. And last year, we were just right there, and we just, we've got to make a kind of a turn as a team to go ahead and finish games out, execute down the stretch is really important.
And I know that you guys have a lot of weapons on your team on both sides of the ball. Who do you look to really help you close out those games and get those winning plays and those winning drives? Yeah,
I mean, Xander, he usually the guy we always look to make those plays. Our running back, BB, has been really good the first 4 weeks of the season. Last 2 weeks he's rushed for 200 yards. Darius Hill out at wide receiver has played just remarkably better. He's kind of turned the page really and became a real threat on the outside for us. Luke Lindsay in the slot. It's just him and Tanner Gilbert been just really consistent targets for Xander, and it really just comes down to not pressing and we have to make the big play or we have to make the play here. We just relax and just everybody focus on their job and what they need to do. The big plays will come.
Yeah, right. Sure. Speaking of big play, we had a play of the night. First time we've had our play of the night winner on the podcast this week. Blake's pick 6 last week was voted our play of the night in a close vote. What can you say about certainly the defense? It was a stellar performance last week on defense as well, Coach.
Yeah, we had, I think, 5 turnovers, which anytime you get 5 turnovers, you're probably going to win that game.
Right.
But they just played really well. Our defensive front was really good against the run the entire night. Will Hambrick had just a great game for us. I think he had like 10 tackles, and we flipped him and Blake. Blake went to play outside instead of inside backer, and I think that worked out really well because he played really well out there, and he had the pick 6, and he had 2 other pass deflections and several tackles as well. So defensively, our defensive front against the run was just great.
Coach, what do you think's been the biggest key to let you guys get off to this good 3-1 start this season?
I think it's our play up front. Has been really well. We've been able to run the ball just pretty much week in and week out. We've had success up front running the football, and obviously Xander is more than capable back there to throw the ball. But I think the guys up front on the offensive line have really made things a lot easier for us. And then defensively, like I talked about earlier, our defensive line and linebackers have also played really well. And I think usually in high school football, if you can control the line of scrimmage, you're going to win a lot of football games.
Mm-hmm. Games won and lost in the trenches, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I know that moving away from having the matchups with some of the more local teams and focusing a lot on Evansville schools, you know, that's been different for you guys in the recent years. What has that taught you guys about how to come together as a squad and face kids in schools from maybe like a bigger area more often?
Yeah, it's been challenging at times, for sure. It's definitely a raise in the competition level. I mean, the teams in our conference, I mean, Memorial has won multiple state championships. Mater Dei won last year. So at times, yeah, it could be a little difficult, and it is challenging in a different aspect of getting the kids, you know, to realize, you know, these are really good football teams, and some of the times it's just not going to be our night, but you know, competing and getting to a level where we're at now is in every game we go out we expect to win, but kind of building the mindset in our kids that, you know, we're going to have to work really hard, and there's just no way around it. The players, like we talked about, bigger schools, they have obviously deeper teams, and you know, we just have to kind of, you know, do the things we do really well, and then really execute well. The coaching's also extremely good in our conference. So, I mean, all around, we've all collectively had to, you know, push ourselves and work together.
Yeah.
Coach, have you seen yourself evolve? You've been here for a couple of years now. You know, it's a family affair, as it always is with Vincennes Lincoln. You got the middle school practicing here, the varsity behind me. I know the support is unmatched around here. How have you kind of seen yourself evolve as a coach as you've been here for a few years now?
We've tweaked a few things we do. Like when we moved to this conference, we try to limit the number of players we have going both ways. Really try to maximize the kids we have. Like I said, we try to limit the kids we have going both ways, and we've kind of went to up-tempo offense. And those things have really helped us out. And defensively, traditionally we're always a forefront, but we've kind of switched back and forth just to give us a couple other looks, because the teams just mixing things up it's tend to help us out. But those are probably the changes I've made over the years.
And I know, I'm sorry,
you're good.
I know we were talking to Blake earlier, and he was saying that, you know, there's a lot of people literally in your family that are part of the program. What's that like to have it literally be a family affair on the Alice squad?
Yeah, at times it can be challenging. But no, it's fun. I mean, it's you know, it's something we grew up all together doing.
Right.
It's something we love to do and enjoy being around each other. And it's just, you know, at the end of the day, we like enjoy spending time with each other. And if we can go out and coach and do football, Vincennes football together, it makes it a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Coach, what does Xander and the other seniors, you know, mean to building a winning culture here?
I mean, their first year was you know, we're coming into the conference, and it's we've got to raise our level of competition. The kids haven't, you know, complained about that, or, you know, why do we have to, it was none of that. It was just, you know, how do we figure out how to win and be more competitive? And I think that was the best way to go about it. And those kids are just, they're really competitive kids, and they want to win, and they're willing to do what they need to do to win.
Coach, are you ready for your most challenging part of this podcast? We got a suggestion box. It's been a hit so far. You get to go first. These are non-football questions.
Not too hard, don't worry.
Yeah, they're not too
Okay.
hard. Oh, this is good.
What is one Gen Z term you will never fully understand? I would say the cap thing was probably that was definitely.
Well, explain, because some people may not.
Yeah, because you would have kids, you know, that's cap, and you just look at them like, what are you talking about? And it's just, you know, it's it's not true or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, took me a while to figure that one out.
I would agree with that one
Yes.
because I think it's hard, especially when they like tweet out and they just put the baseball cap.
Oh, yeah.
And you're
Yes.
just like,
That's classic.
Yeah.
yeah, really. Yeah, Jack loves it.
I'm gonna say, like, I'm not gonna
Gen
answer
Z.
it
He's
because I'm
Gen
young
Z.
enough
You
to be
are Gen Z. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah,
There's several.
There's several. The cap is definitely
You
one.
think you're cool, and then you
Yep,
start to
then
learn
you realize
things like
you're getting
that.
old.
And then Jack Burney joins your team, and then you're like,
Oh, man.
man,
Come
I'm
on,
never
guys.
going to be that cool. All right, Grant,
All right,
you
next?
go next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mix them up here. Oh, which weapon would you choose in a zombie apocalypse?
Wow.
Coach, you get the honors to go first. In this, which weapon would you choose in a zombie apocalypse?
I mean, you probably, I mean, maybe a shotgun, but then you'll run out of ammo. So, you know, maybe a larger knife. I don't know.
There you
Yeah.
go.
I got a weird answer. I'm gonna go with bug spray.
Oh.
Might work on zombies, you know? Never know.
Oh,
Okay. I'm trying to think here.
Think outside the box a little bit.
I'm thinking back to the days when I used to watch The Walking Dead
Yeah,
and
like
what they
Michonne, the
used to.
katana, like
Yeah,
that's-
I mean, I wish I could be cool like Daryl and have the bow and arrow.
arrow.
That would be cool. I want to keep distance because once they get close to you, right, that's when you're in trouble. So nothing that's gonna be like close combat. Maybe a bow and arrow if I knew how to use that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
bow and arrow would work. Lightsaber. I'll go lightsaber.
Oh,
right?
Good
okay,
answer,
yeah.
that's-
All right, Jack.
All right, here we
Jack
go.
is next.
Gotta get a good one here.
Yep.
All right. So it says, night owl or early bird?
Night owl.
I would agree with you. I
Early
think I'm a
bird.
night owl.
Night owl.
Kinda
stay up-
both, though.
Yeah, a little bit of both. But, you know, sometimes you got to get up early, but it's good to stay up late watching film or watching
Yeah.
sports, that sort of thing. Last but not least.
Last but not least. Okay. If you could be any animal, what would it be?
Polar bear.
Oh,
Good answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Jack.
I'll go with the dog. I feel like dogs are pretty well kept for, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very friendly. A lioness, of course.
There you go. Velociraptor. I'll go Velociraptor.
Lightsaber,
Dinosaurs count.
Velociraptor.
Dinosaurs
I
count.
can't keep track.
Come on, man.
I
Yeah.
can't keep track. Oh my
Coach,
goodness.
thanks for stopping by this week's
No,
show and joining
absolutely.
us on a
Thanks
busy
for having
week.
me.
Big one Friday night against Castle. We can't wait to see how the Alice's stack up on a special night. Hey, we've been watching our Going to the End Zone podcast. Thanks to Coach Salters and everyone. We'll see you on football this Friday night.